You're exhausted from rebuilding yourself. Not just physically, emotionally. Tired of feeling like every time you finally find your footing, something shifts again. Tired of gathering the pieces. Tired of learning the same lessons in slightly different forms. Tired of telling yourself, okay, I'll begin again. It's not dramatic anymore. Just heavy. A quiet, steady kind of tired that shows up most clearly at night, when there's nothing left to distract you from how much energy it takes to keep becoming someone new. You remember the last time you felt stable, the moment things finally started to make sense again, the routines that felt solid, the mindset that felt steady. You thought, maybe this is it, maybe I'm through the hardest part. And for a while it felt true. You woke up without the same weight. You moved through your days with more clarity. You felt like yourself again. Then something small happened. Not always big enough to call a setback. Sometimes just a conversation. A memory. A change you didn't expect. A quiet realization that something still hurt. And suddenly, it felt like the ground shifted. Not completely. Just enough to make you question your balance again. And the thought comes back. Why does it feel like I have to start over? That's the exhausting part. Not the feeling itself. The idea that all the work you did might need to be done again. It feels unfair. Like building something carefully, only to notice cracks you didn't see before. You don't want to rebuild. You want to live in what you already built. You want progress to stay put. You want healing to feel permanent. But emotional life isn't built in straight lines. It moves in cycles. And cycles can feel like repetition. When you're inside them, triggers make this harder. They rarely arrive loudly. They slip in quietly. A familiar tone in someone's voice. A situation that reminds you of an older one. A sudden sense of uncertainty where you hoped for safety. Nothing catastrophic. Just enough to touch a sensitive place. And when that place responds, it can feel like everything resets. Like you're back at the beginning of something you thought you already understood. But look closely. Are you truly at the beginning? Or are you standing in a familiar place, with more awareness than before? Earlier, when you faced this kind of moment, you might not have understood what was happening. You might have reacted automatically, felt overwhelmed, needed much longer to find your footing again. Now, even if you feel shaken, you recognize the feeling faster. You can name it. You can sense where it comes from. That difference is easy to overlook, because it doesn't remove the discomfort, but it changes your relationship to it. Cycles don't always mean restarting. Sometimes they mean deepening. Think about learning something complex. The first time, you understand the surface. The second time, you notice patterns. The third time, you grasp subtleties you missed before. From the outside, it might look like repetition. From the inside, it's refinement. Healing works like that. Each time something resurfaces, it's rarely the exact same place. It's often a deeper layer of the same story. Earlier, maybe you learned how to survive it. Now, maybe you're learning how it shaped you. Earlier, maybe you focused on getting through the day. Now, maybe you're noticing what you actually need to feel steady. That isn't starting over. That's understanding more. Still, it's okay that you feel tired. Emotional fatigue is real. Rebuilding takes energy. Adjusting takes energy. Even growth that's good for you can feel draining while it's happening. You might feel like you don't have the same stamina you once had, like your emotional muscles are worn out. But sometimes what feels like weakness is actually the body asking for something simple. Rest, not quitting, not giving up, just resting. We often treat rest like a pause in growth. But rest is part of growth. It's where integration happens. It's where the nervous system catches up to everything the mind has been processing. If you've been through several cycles of change, it makes sense that you feel tired. Not because you're failing, because you've been adapting. Adaptation is work, even when it leads somewhere better. You don't have to rebuild at full speed. You don't have to prove your strength by pushing through exhaustion. Strength sometimes looks like slowing down, like admitting, I need a moment, like allowing the process to move at a human pace. You're not a machine that resets instantly. You're a person who absorbs experience gradually. When you look back, notice how each restart wasn't truly from zero. You carried lessons forward. You recognized red flags sooner. You spoke up earlier. You protected your energy in ways you didn't before. Those things didn't disappear. They became part of you. Even now, in this tired moment, you're not the same person who faced the first version of this challenge. You have more awareness, more language for your feelings, more understanding of what helps and what doesn't. That's not zero. That's progress layered quietly over time. It might not feel like progress because it didn't eliminate difficulty. But progress rarely eliminates life's challenges. It changes how equipped you are to meet them. You're not rebuilding the same structure. You're renovating with better tools. Sometimes renovation feels messy. Walls open, dust everywhere, temporary discomfort. But it leads to something sturdier. Right now, it may feel like you're surrounded by the mess. That doesn't mean the foundation is gone. It means something inside you is still being shaped. There's a quiet fear in moments like this. What if I have to keep starting over forever? That thought can feel overwhelming. But maybe the question itself comes from a misunderstanding. Because what if this isn't starting over, but starting wiser? Let that sit for a moment. What if every time life feels like it's asking you to begin again, you're not actually at the beginning? You're at a new level. Same theme, different depth, same lesson, greater understanding, same path, stronger version of you walking it. Starting wiser means you don't carry the same confusion. You don't make the same unconscious choices. You don't ignore the same signals. You move differently. Even if the road feels familiar, you're allowed to feel tired of the process. That tiredness doesn't cancel your growth. It simply means you've been trying. Trying requires energy. And tonight, maybe your energy is low. That's okay. You don't need to solve everything tonight. You don't need to rebuild anything tonight. You can just be here, breathing, letting this moment exist, without turning it into proof that you failed or regressed. You're not back at the beginning. You're in the middle of becoming. And becoming isn't linear. It loops. It pauses. It asks you to rest sometimes, before the next step feels possible. Resting doesn't erase progress. It preserves it. You've already come further than you think. Even this awareness, this reflection, this honesty, is evidence of that. You don't need to rush into another rebuild. You can stand here for a while. You can let the dust settle. You can trust that the strength you've built hasn't vanished. It's just asking for breath. So if tonight feels heavy, if the thought of starting again feels exhausting, Remember, you're not starting from scratch. You're starting from experience, from lessons, from resilience, from a version of yourself who has already walked through more than you once thought possible. That doesn't make the road effortless, but it does mean you're not lost on it. You're still moving, even when it's slow, even when it feels like standing still. Especially tonight,